So our tool is divided into LOBs. Each LOB has 3 sections: trends, segmentations, and ingredients. Our journey starts with trends, where we have an overall going of our HI score, which we can see on this tab. How many customers we have, we can see in this tab. Of course, we can decide to change the date range for our trend. And on our left hand side, we can see that this region is the one with the lowest HI score. However, I can see by clicking on color by HI change if I'm addressing this region issues or not. Moreover, I can see how many customers I have in that region to see if the efforts are actually interesting a large or small segment of my customer base. Then, if we go back to the previous HI trend, I could see that there was a quite bad downward sloping. So now I'm wondering why. In order to start my root cause analysis, I go in the sub-index panel, which is areas of customer experience, and I can see that this sub-index is the one that is causing my downward trends the most. If I roll over, I can see which ingredient is inside this sub-index, which is complaints due to network latency. If I go down, I have all my variables. So in each one of these sub-indexes, there are some ingredients, which are the variables of my happiness index, and as respective M88, which is the smart care ingredient, it's actually the second worst performing. But then, am I already addressing this? I can see it by sorting my ingredient bar by HI change, and I can see that actually complainers due to network latency, it's still the second worst performing ingredient. So it's definitely something I should do something about. I can select the ingredient, and by selecting the ingredients, I see its definition. I can see the trend of the ingredients. I can see that something bad happened in this date, and at this point my trend vision it's over. What I really want to do is what can I do for this segment of customers which are having a network latency. So what I can do is selecting this segment of customers for which I have the HI score and number of customers, and go into the segmentation details of it. So once I select my segment from the previous view, I can now see what is the amount of customers I have in this complainers due to network latency compared to my overall base. I can see that they are less happy than the average, and I can see also their change depending on the date range that I've selected. Second of all, if I scroll down, I get more useful information on this segment of customers. First of all, I get to know that there are still some happy customers in between my base, but I also can see in which area this issue seems to be focusing on. And for this reason, the first natural step is to isolate this area that are suffering from network latency, so I can filter them out. And once I've done that, I would have created a new segment which is now smaller and have also different distribution. Now the first thing that I could do is to invest more money in those areas that I have selected here. However, this is not, which are all actually deteriorating. However, this is a long-term solution and it costs a lot of money. So what I can decide to do is to actually go back to my HI score and decide to take another action on this segment of customers which I've now isolated. How do I decide which variable to pick? I can decide to apply a sort by weight, which is not the weight of the score, but it's the weight of that experience for the customers. And if I do that, I can see the first ingredient here is actually data usage against plan entitlement. So I select the variable and I can see that actually not all the customers are unhappy. This is their risk of churning. And so what I want to do is to offer relief, an immediate relief, so taking action just on those customers that are actually usually reaching their limit in terms of data availability. So I filtered them out, And if I do that, I have a new segment which is even smaller than the previous one, but I can see that I managed to actually tackle just very unhappy people, and I can now download the MSISDN of this customer and target them in a campaign. Moreover, I could decide to craft even more meaningful campaigns by creating smaller segments based on their age, on their gender, on their contract category or tenure. Once I pre-select these, let's say, even minor segments, I can again decide to export my microsegmentation for a very meaningful campaign. However, once I arrived here, I might be wondering which action could I take or what does the ingredient really mean, and in this case I can select View Ingredient Details and the dashboard will guide me through the last session, which is the ingredient pages. On this one, I have more information on every single ingredient. So first of all, I will get information on the meaning, on the ingredient strength, how reliable is the action, meaning how, let's say, constant is the result that I would get by actioning on these HI scores. Second of all, understanding the results, what does a low HI score or a high HI score means in this case, and which actions do we suggest you to take. So this is all from my side. I hope it was clear.